It's a great kavod to be here this evening. Thank Morty Ari for inviting me. The Hilula of the Hachaim HaKadosh. And let me share a few words, a few minutes we have together. The pasuk says in the parasha, under share Hachaim HaKadosh's comments, the pasuk it says, "Lo hibit avon b'Yaakov lo ra amal b'Yisrael." That HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look at the oven of the Yaakov. We'll see what oven means in just a moment. He doesn't look at the amel, the amelus, the efforts of the Yisrael. Says the Hachaim HaKadosh, Lo hibit oven hu chait sham hamachshava. The word oven, he says, means a thought, a bad thought. A person has a machshava, a hirhur, a thought to do something bad, a thought to say something bad, a thought to look at something bad. Says the Hachaim HaKadosh, She'ein Hashem mabit el hamachshava hara. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not look at the bad thoughts that a person has. Why? He says, She'ein osa b'Yaakov hamachshava ra roshem. When a yid has a thought, a bad thought, it doesn't make a mark. If it's just a machshava, a bad thought, and he doesn't act upon it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't pay attention to it. He completely ignores it. Hachaim HaKadosh had these eyes to view Klal Yisrael as tzaddikim. He looked at every opportunity to judge everyone favorably, down the kaf schus. So he says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at Yaakov, a person has a bad thought. We all have bad thoughts from time to time. We're all human. We all have struggles in different areas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look at a machshava ra. If we don't do anything about it, it comes and goes, it's a fleeting thought, he doesn't look. And that's one of the praises that Bilam says about Am Yisrael. This is a time period starting the 3 weeks, the Bein HaMetzarim, this coming Sunday, Shavas Tammuz. It's a very sad time where we feel distant from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are distant from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But we have to look at that which is bad, just like the Hachaim HaKadosh explains that Lo hibit oven b'Yaakov, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look at the evil within us. We have to look at these bad times as positive as well. So let me explain something very, very deep. There's a lot to say about this topic, but I'll just touch upon it a little bit. Shavas Tammuz, the first bad event that took place was the Chet HaEgel. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down from Har Sinai, he breaks the luchos. And the Medrash says that Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu got married at Har Sinai. At Kabbalah HaTorah received the luchos. The luchos was the ksuva. There was a marriage between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the breaking of the luchos on Shavas Tammuz represented a separation between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a distancing. Now, it begins the 3 weeks on Sunday, and then after the 3 weeks, it's the 9 days, right? The last few days is 9 days. 3 weeks is Gimel. 9 days is what letter? Tes, or a tet. Gimel Tes is a get. 3 weeks, 9 days indicates a Rahman al-Atzan, a separation, a distancing between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the Bnei Yissaschar writes that although Tisha B'Av is the saddest day of the year, it's still called a Moed. It's a Yontif. The Yontif Mashiach is born, hopefully already was born. There's a certain nechama, a certain comfort on the lowest day of the year, Tisha B'Av. But right after Tisha B'Av comes Tu B'Av. Tu B'Av, a few days afterwards, the Mishnah says that the Kalas would go out dancing in the fields, looking for a chassan. A kala is getting ready to get married. The kala is us. We Klal Yisrael with the kala. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the chassan. Tu B'Av is like the date. It's the shidduch. It's the first getting together. The Chida points out, I think it's the Chida points out that from Tu B'Av until Yom Kippur received the second luchos. From Tu B'Av until Yom Kippur, there are 55 days. 15 days left of Av. 30 days of Elul, that's 45, and 10 days Yom Kippur, that's 55. The gematria of Kal is, Chaf is 20, Lamed is 35, is 5, Hey is 5, it's 55. The Kala is preparing from Tu B'Av until Yom Kippur for the second Luchos. And then every single marriage requires Sheva Brachos. The 7 days of Sukkot are 7 days of Sheva Brachos. And every Sheva Bracha requires Panim Chadashos, right? A new face. The Ushpizin, who come visit us, each night of Sukkot are the Panim Chadashos. So it says the Bnei Yissaschar that Tisha B'Av was the hardest day, the most distant, starting this Sunday, but gets worse and worse. But he points out that distance makes the heart go fonder. You said that to me as I walked in. Yeah. Distance makes the heart go fonder, he says. When there's distance, when there's separation, it makes the love, it makes the want to be stronger. So these 3 weeks, although there's a certain distance, is actually a positive element to it. And something fascinating, Bnei Yissaschar points out that Tu B'Av is also the 15th. 15th is 2, Tezvav. B'Av, Aleph Beis. The month of Av is Aleph Beis. The 15th of the Aleph Beis, the 15th letter of Aleph Beis is what? A Samech. A Samech on Tu B'Av represents a circle, a dancing of the Kala. The ring that goes on the Kala's finger. And listen to this. It's brought down in the Sefer Yetzirah. I know here you guys like a lot of Kabbalah. I could talk about Kabbalah in the Sephardi Shul. It's fantastic. I don't know how much you follow it, but at least I know you appreciate it. So listen to this, what the Sefer Yetzirah writes. Starting from the bottom, the right pinky toe, just bear with me. It assigns osios, letters, to each of these limbs. Aleph is the bottom toe, the right. So Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Daled, Hey. Os, Bris Kodesh is the letter Vav. Left foot, Zayin, Ches, Tes, Yud, Chaf. Now move to your fingers. Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, we'll come back to Samech, Ayin, we'll finish up Peh, Pei, Tzadi, Kuf, Reish, Shin, Saf. We got all the fingers, we got the Os, Bris Kodesh, we got the Peh. This letter, this finger was the Samech. The finger which we put to get married, the ring of the Kala. That's the Tu B'Av. So although we're starting this period that's very, very down and sad and distant, we have to tap into the Kedusha of the Hachaim HaKadosh, who tells us that we look beyond. Lo hibit avim b'Yakov. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look at our bad machshavos. Lo ra amal b'Yisrael. He always looks at the positive. So yes, we have to follow the minhagim of the Avelis and not shaving and music. And I know for the Sephardim you have less Avelis than the Ashkenazim. You guys only have like the last couple of days, I think. But there's still a period of mourning that exists for the next few weeks. And to take out the Kedusha, what's to come at the end, the positivity. Now I remember once someone told me, when I started giving shiur when I was younger, I'm not a public speaker. I used to be very scared of public speaking. So there's always a certain intimidation. So he said, look, whenever you finish giving a shiur, or giving a speech, you always feel good and refreshed and accomplished. So look at the end. Look what's going to be afterwards. So when it comes to these next few weeks, look at the end. Look at Tu B'Av. Look at Yom Kippur. Look at Elul. The Ashkenazim, we don't like Elul. The Sephardim, you guys love Elul, Baruch Hashem. You love the slichos, you love the dancing, you love the singing. We dread it, unfortunately. But for you guys who look forward to Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, we need to wait to look forward to Rosh Hashanah. It's a bit of a jump for us. But here, you look forward to something positive. Don't look at the bad. Don't look low. Hibit oven b'Yakov. There's a lot more to say about the whole calendar and the Tzchas and Kala. I'm not going to share everything about that now. But I want to share another idea in the Parsha about this idea of being positive. Filling our lives with Kedusha. The Gemara in Achelik, in the end of Sanhedrin, points out that what was the first event to take place, the first Chet on Tisha B'Av was the Chet Meraglim. And if you look at Eicha, in one of the prakim, I forget which one, but one of the prakim, they go Aleph Beis. Most of the prakim are Aleph Beis order in Eicha. In one of the prakim, the ayin and pei are out of order. The pei comes before the ayin. Why, says the Gemara? Because the Meraglim spoke bepeh, mashelo ra be'einaim. They spoke from their mouth that which they didn't see from their eyes. They reversed it. They didn't let their eyes see and then speak. They spoke even though they didn't see. So the two main averas on Tisha B'Av was the speech and the vision. So we mentioned the vision before about looking at everyone positive, looking at our lives positive, looking at the calendar positive. Let's speak about speech now, the peh. So listen to what the Ber Maim Chaim writes. Ber Maim Chaim, he comments on the pasuk. It says that when Bilam is busy negotiating with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu says not to go, and he says like this: Lino po alayla, let me sleep here this evening. Vashivose atchem davar, I'm going to return back davar. Kasher yidaber Hashem, whenever Hashem is telling me, I'm going to report back whatever the message is. Asks the Ber Maim Chaim, what is the word davar doing in this pasuk? It should say that Bilam said, I'll say what I spoke. What do you mean, I'll give you the davar that I spoke? Of course he's telling you the words that he spoke. Why is he saying the word davar? As if he's giving his own commentary. So listen to what Ber Maim Chaim says. It says in the end of the first parak of Maseches Megillah, there was a time of the Churban, Yoshia Melech. He wanted a nevuah. He wanted to speak to a navi. He wanted a very good prediction. And the Gemara there says that he went to Hilula. Hilula was one of the 7 nevios. There are only 7 women nevios. And the Gemara asks the question, why didn't he go to Yirmiyah? Yirmiyah lived in the same time as Hilula. Now, no offense to the women, but Yirmiyah was much better a navi than that of Hilula. He was one of the best Nevi'im we ever had. So why would he was Yoshi Amel. He didn't have a problem getting access. I know certain Gedolim, it's hard to have access to certain Gedolim. But when you're the king, you go right in. So he could have chosen to go to Yirmiyah and not chosen to go to Hilula. And Hilula was a wonderful lady, a big tzaddikus. But it wasn't Yirmiyah. So the Gemara asks, why did he go to Hilula instead of Yirmiyah? So the Gemara says, because Yirmiyah, if you look at all, he wrote Eicha. Sefer Yirmiyah is a very, very sad, depressing Navi. Talks about the Averas, talks about Galus, talks about the Churban Beis HaMikdash. He wanted to get a positive Nevuah. One filled with Rachmanis, one with love and passion that only a woman could give over such prophecy, such a description, such a commentary. So he asks a question that's so strange. The Navi doesn't make up what he wants or what she wants to say. The Navi is simply reporting what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells them to say. So it doesn't make a difference whether he's going to Yirmiyah or whether he's going to Hilula. Whatever Nevuah HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to send to Yoshemel, he's going to get it. Whether it's through this conduit or that conduit, who cares which one he's choosing from? That was the question the Ber Maim Chaim asks. He says like this. Imagine the following mashal. You have a pipe, and there's water going through the pipe. So the water is going to taste the same from where it started, from the water main to your sink. But let's say you coat the pipe with sugar, and you coat a different pipe with something sour or bitter. So at the end of the day, it's going to be H2O. It's going to be water, but it's going to be slightly flavored, like seltzer. It's water, bubbles, and a little lemon, a little raspberry, a little touch of that. So says the Ber Maim Chaim that when that nevuah comes through, although it might be the same exact words, the way in which it's said, the inflection, the body language, you could have 2 people saying the same exact thing, and it could come off very differently. So, your kids are in a fight, and you say, please say I'm sorry to, the sibling that you hurt. So one could say, I'm sorry, roll his eyes, shrug his shoulders, but he said, I said, I'm sorry. And the other one could say, I'm sorry, and really mean it, and you could sense how genuine it is. The same exact words, I'm sorry, but there's so much more that goes into your words of, again, your body language, your inflection, your emphasis. So it says Ber Maim Chaim, that's what's going on here. It might have been the same words coming from Yirmiyah and from Hilula, but the way Hilula said it was with a sweet, soft, gentle, compassionate tone. The way Yirmiyah said it, and that is Yirmiyah, I don't want to speak harsh, but it was more harsh. It was stronger, more aggressive, whatever that meant in Yirmiyah's world, it wasn't as soft. When a kid gets hurt, oftentimes they'd rather go to their mommy than the daddy. Because the mommy's going to show more love. The dad's going to grow up, you're being a baby. But the mother's going to give him a hug, give him a kiss. There's a different sense of the mother versus the father. Now, the father should also have compassion, of course. the kids have to learn how to grow up, but also they have to show them the love. So it says the Ber Maim Chaim, that's what Bilam was saying. Bilam was saying his davar, when he was giving the report of the bracha, the klala from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he was going to add in his interpretation. His interpretation may not have changed the words, but a subtle way, inflection, emphasis. There's ways to change things around. Sometimes in work, if you're an employer, if you're a boss, you have coworkers, sometimes you have to give feedback. You have to give constructive criticism. Tell them they're doing something wrong, how to do this better. And there are ways to say it. There are ways to make the guy feel bad, make the person feel like an idiot, put him down. Or there's a positive way to tell a person how to be better at what he's doing. There's a constructive way. There's a positive way. And the same thing with compliments. Some compliments could be very genuine and positive, but some people don't know how to give compliments. Even when they give a compliment, it's not really a compliment. They'll say, oh, and but this. Or they'll say something to shave it down a little bit. Everything we say, you have to be honest, you can't lie, but there are ways to say things so it's well received. In the midst of giving tzedakah. So giving tzedakah, it's not just about writing a check. It's not just giving $1 to the guy who walks in. There's the savor of panim yafos. Giving him a smile is brought down in halacha. It's not just the mission pirkei avos. The mechaber writes to do the savor of panim yafos. Those people who give tzedakah and make the guy feel like he's a nothing, doesn't get the schar of the mitzvah tzedakah. To make him feel good. How's his day? Have a seat. You want a drink? I'm not saying to serve a whole meal necessary to every person who comes in here, but to make him feel good. What's the word savor? Panim yafos mean? What's the word savor mean? Savor is lashon svara. What does svara mean? A reason, a logic. Not every person we meet do we necessarily have a reason to smile. So it says the Meiri, when we showed him on the Pirkei Avos, we should sometimes think of reasons why to smile. A person walks in, we didn't get along with him, we got in a fight at the basketball court, I don't know. He schooled me to the net, I don't know. I don't like the guy so much. So what you do, think of a svara, think of a reason why you should make that guy smile, why you should make him feel good. Say your panim yafos, think of a svara. It's not always easy. It takes work, it takes effort, but it makes the guy feel good. The Kuti Maran, Rabbi Nachman Rebbe writes that when a person has chen could be interpreted as charm, charisma. A person with chen could say anything benachas. You would give the person the biggest critique in the world, but it's done benachas, it's done with chen, it's done with seir panim yafos. That changes everything. Rabbanim, Rabbeim, teachers, parents, grandparents sometimes have to discipline their children. There are ways to discipline children properly. You do benachas. You make them feel good. You make them, one time we had to take out one of the kids. One of the kids needed some, I'm not saying it's Yisrael Meir, but one of the kids, kind of have a few kids, but we had to, my wife and I had to speak to one of the kids about something, whatever the inyan was. So we said, we'll take him out to dinner. We took him out to chimichurri, and we had a nice meal, and we spoke about what we wanted to speak about. Now that could have been a very different conversation had we sat him down in the house, on the table, but in the environment, showing how much we love him, or her, so then it's better received that way. It's done benachas. It's done with a certain chen to it. So let me finish off with a great ma'isa. The ma'isa about the big tzaddik Rabbi Yashiv. Zeichat tzaddik kadosh levracha. Rabbi Yashiv used to work as a dayan, whatever that means to work, on the Bezdin, one of the Bati Dinim in Israel. And I'm not getting involved in politics here at all, but he was taking a paycheck from the Israeli government because he was working on the court system. There was someone in the area of Mei Hashem who did not like the fact that he was taking a check from the Israeli government, which meant he supported the Israeli government. He was very upset over Rabbi Yashiv. I'm not saying he was right or wrong, but that was the circumstance. One day, Rabbi Yashiv was coming home from work, from the Beis Din. And one of these individuals, who was not very pleased with Rabbi Yashiv, decided to throw eggs at Rabbi Yashiv. He pelted him with eggs. So he pelted him with 3 eggs. Now Rabbi Yashiv knew everything, so he certainly knew the Gemara and Brachos that we know, that a Talmid Chacham does not walk around with the stain on, so he knew he was a Talmid Chacham. He knew the reality. So he stopped in his tracks and began cleaning off with his handkerchief 3 eggs that were dripping down his shirt and his coat. And as he was doing that, the individual was just staring at Rabbi Yashiv in the disgrace, just watching him clean the eggs off his shirt. Now, if we pause the story there for just a moment. Now, how would you react? Now, don't tell me, but I'm going to give some options to how you might have reacted. Some of you might, you would have attacked the guy, punched him in the face, tackled him. I see some nods here. So that would have been an option, maybe, to take the guy down. That certainly was not the option of Rabbi Yashiv. The other 2 options, I think, is probably more feasible. You might have had a few choice words for him, ranging of inappropriate words versus more appropriate words. You might have said something to him. Or the last approach is probably just ignored him and stayed silent. So those are all 3 options probably in your mind. I'm hoping you're going to choose the last 2 options, either say something nice to him or, ignore him. Rabbi Yashiv took it a whole nother level. Something that a regular person like you and I don't think of. He said, I'm going to give the guy a bracha. And we stopped the story there. That itself is godless. He gave the guy a bracha. The guy who just pelted him with eggs, he gave him a bracha. Story over, fantastic story, but it doesn't really end there. The godless of the bracha is the next part of the story. What was the bracha? He said, knowing the guy had nothing else better to do than pelt old men with eggs, he said, I give you a bracha that you should be too busy to ever do this again. That's how a beautiful, great bracha, that's godless. But you want to hear real godless? This man had been married for many, many years without any children. The next year, his wife gave birth to triplets. The 3 eggs, and his life was quite busy from that point on. That's godless. But that takes an opportunity of looking at something bad, saying something bad, but taking it positive. Turning a klala into a bracha. That's really the celebration of us. Not to look at people, lo hibit oven biyako, lo ra amel b'yisrael, not to look at people bad, not to say bad things to people, but to give people chizit, to make people feel good, to build people up in positive ways with nachas and with chen. And as we enter in to the 3 weeks of the Bein HaMetzarim, the period of Avelis, we should be zocheh to take this opportunity as not one of distance, but one of that means around the corner, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to reunite with us. And Tubav, with the Samech, and the ring, and the Chassan, and the Kala, the 55 days, Yom Kippur, the Sheh Brachos, the Sukkot, that's what we look forward to. So Mitzvah Hashem, you shall be zocheh to reconnect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, reconnect with Yiddishkeit. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Shabbos, everyone.